Today on the Paying a Special Report, we will take a closer look at the Wells Fargo fake account scandal. Back on September 8th, 2016, Wells Fargo, in an effort to put the scandal behind them, announced that it was paying $185 million in fines to Los Angeles City and federal regulators. This was to settle allegations that its employees created millions of fake bank accounts for their customers. However, this settlement resulted in an intense public outcry. The fraud appears to have resulted from Chief Executive Officer John Stumpf's mantra to employees, 8 is great. What is 8 is great? This meant that Wells Fargo employees needed to get 8 Wells Fargo products to its customers. This directive from the top proved to be burdensome for employees as they struggled to meet demanding quotas and demanding management. Employees started to cut corners and open deposit accounts and credit cards for Wells Fargo customers without their permission or their knowledge. Between 2011 and mid-2016, Wells Fargo employees created more than 1.5 million fake accounts and issued more than 500,000 unauthorized credit card applications. These applications and accounts generated more than $2.6 million in fees for Wells Fargo. While Wells Fargo said it had fired some 5,300 employees over the 5-year period, government officials from Senator Elizabeth Warren to Treasury Secretary Jack Lew attacked Wells Fargo for its actions. Due to the scrutiny received regarding the scandal, Wells Fargo on September 13, 2016 said they would remove all sale goals in its retail banking business and that this will start on 2017 January 1st. This meant that the quotas that led to the fraud in the first place will no longer exist. Yet due to the nature of this ethical breach, the U.S. Attorney for the Southern District of New York and Northern District of California have begun investigations into Wells Fargo unethical business practices. Chief Executive Officer John Stumpf testified in front of the Senate Banking Committee and apologized. The committee, however, was particularly interested in Carrie Tolstead, who ran the unit that was responsible for millions of fake accounts. Prior to the scandal breaking, Tolstead had retired and it was still receiving compensation during retirement. Employees have alleged a soul-crushing culture of fear and daily intimidation within management resulted in this issue. This intimidation directly contributed to the pressure that ended up making employees break the law. During investigations of the scandal, further dangerous culture dynamics inside of Wells Fargo were discovered. Based on testimonies and banking research, there was a blind spot among senior leadership at Wells Fargo and fear of speaking out among the organization. Senior leadership and board members of Wells Fargo acted slowly in correcting the issue once they became aware of it. In fact, leadership became aware of the fraud back in 2011 and did not fully engage in resolving the issue until 2015. The delays in correcting the problem was refusal by leadership team to think that creating fake accounts was an issue due to company's culture. Another major issue that was discovered was deterrence to speaking up. Employees were getting ignored, discouraged, or even fired for attempting to voice concerns regarding the fraud that was taking place. Besides the employees who were getting fired, it also affected the employees that were in the company who saw that whistleblowers were getting terminated if they did not remain silent. The Wells Fargo scandal could have easily been avoided had proper strategic planning taken place. If Wells Fargo would have made sure that their goals would have correlated with the company's mission, the fraud would have never taken place. Based on employee comments, goals were unrealistic and caused a hostile work environment that led to breaking the law. Wells Fargo had a social responsibility to ensure that consumers are not taken advantage of and that their finances were protected. The unethical fraud that took place was a direct reflection on poor leadership and strategic planning. During strategic planning, values, morals, and ethics are continuously evaluated. Thus, 5 years of fraud by employees within Wells Fargo is a direct reflection of how leadership failed to continuously evaluate the company's ethics, values, and morals. Had Wells Fargo just slightly practiced conscious capitalism within their strategy, banking employees would have felt empowered to speak up. Managers would have not fostered a hostile work environment predominantly focused on profits versus service-based leadership. And post-scandal, leadership would have taken corrective action regarding social responsibility, returned all profits gained from the scandal, and resigned with no compensation. Finally, and most importantly, The fact that Wells Fargo immediately removed the quota and goal requirements shows how out of touch leadership had been regarding their tactics towards their own employees. This concludes my presentation.